Hi, in this tutorial I'll show you how SanitAI works. SanitAI is a reverse proxy for the OpenAI API that allows you to intercept requests and remove PII data. For example, your users might be sending sensitive information like credit card numbers or phone numbers. The reverse proxy will intercept those requests and remove that data. So let's see how it works. This is all taken from the README, so you can check it out and follow the instructions. First step is to get the code which I already did. Then you have to set up your OpenAI API key. This API key is used for the AI agent. The AI agent has two main goals. The first one is to allow you to create new rules and to allow you to modify existing rules. I already set it, so I'll skip it. Then I have to build the Docker image. Let's run it again. You see that it didn't take time because I had built it already. And the final step is to run the server. Let's wait for a few seconds for it to fully start, and let's copy the URL so we can see the dashboard. And here. Now let's copy the admin sample credentials. You can modify if you want. Actually, recommend that you modify them. And now we see the list of rules. These are two sample rules. You can delete them, but they help you get started without having to add new rules. So we have a Visa credit card detector and a US phone number detector. The first thing that you can do is to load the tests for a given rule. For example, I loaded the ones for the credit card numbers, and you'll see that it loads each test. And each test has three components. The first one is the text that we are testing right here. Then it has a check mark here, and we can unselect or select depending on whether this text should be flagged. In this case, we want to flag this. And it also has a description. The description is optional, but it will help us and people in our team to understand why we have this test. Why is this important? And have a quick explanation of if it should trigger or not. Let's scroll down and look for a negative test. So you see that this one doesn't have the check mark, and we see the text, and the explanation says it's only 15 digits. So this is not a valid credit card number. That's why it doesn't have the trigger alert check mark. And we can do the same for the other rules. But for now, let me show you how to create new rules. I clicked on, just in case you didn't see, I clicked on add new rule, and this will take me to the AI agent that allows me to create new rules. So let's say I'm working at an e-commerce company and I want to remove customer IDs. Help me detect customer IDs. And the AI agent will come up with a list of questions to allow it to come up with the rule. So now it has the questions for me. What's the typical format for the customer IDs? Let's say it's C followed by 10 digits. Are there any specific prefixes or suffixes? Yes, C, 3. Do customer IDs have fixed length, or the length can vary? It's 11 chars, C plus 10 digits. Then 4. Do should the regular expression match customer IDs only when they appear as whole words or embedded into text? They can be embedded into text. Are there any examples of valid and invalid that you can provide? This is actually a great question, so let's come up with some valid ones. Valid ones. See, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I said 10 digits, so we are missing one. Let's also cover the lowercase case, because maybe someone types valid customer ID, but it doesn't use the capital C. And now let's come up with invalid ones. Can be like 1, 1, 2, 3, and maybe this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But we will do, let's do a final X. So this one is invalid, and let's see what happens. If the agent has any more questions, it will ask us. Otherwise, it will show the rule and the tests for the rule. So let's give it a few more seconds. and see if it, okay, so it came up with a rule and it says this pattern detects any instance of a customer ID and it shows us the test cases. And we can review a few of them. For example, the first one is the kind of obvious one, which is a capital C followed by 10 digits. And the second column says should trigger. And this is our expectation. Should this text trigger the rule? Yes. Did it actually trigger the rule? That we fill out the values in this column by actually running the rule on the text. And the result is passed because the test is successful. And there's an explanation for each test. This is also important because somebody else on our team may look at these tests and the explanation helps them understand why we have such a test. And we also have the tests that don't trigger the rule. For example, invalid customer ID, C followed by 1, 2, 3, should not trigger, did not trigger, and this is a successful test. So let's click on Save Rule. And now we have our new customer ID rule. So let's see how they work. Let me load some of the examples. And let me copy this one and come here to the playground. Now the playground allows me to activate or deactivate rules to see if they are working as expected. So let's do a quick test. And I just pasted one of the examples that we had for customer ID. So I'm not gonna select any of the rules. Let me click on run. And you see that nothing happens. The input text is the same as the output one. But let's see what happens when I activate customer ID. And you see that it removed the string, that's a customer ID. Let's try with a few more. Let's actually enable all of them. My customer ID is this. This is my credit card. And they should be 16 digits and they begin with 4. So let's try with the simplest one. This is a pretty bad text because it has a lot of PI information. And finally, you can call me at 1, 2, 3. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's run it. Okay, so it actually didn't, I think I'm missing, let's look at because it didn't remove the phone number, so let's actually see the definition. Oh, okay, so this is why it's important to test our rules, because if you see my phone number wasn't removed. Why? Because it's defined as looking for a dash right here. And if we find these kinds of issues, then we can decide whether this is a good enough rule or we want to make it more flexible. So just for testing purposes, I'll add this dash so we see that the rule is working. Okay, great. Now you see that all 3 elements were removed. In the next tutorial, I'll show you how we can improve our rules to make them more flexible.